when we serving these people, it shouldn't be transactional. It shouldn't be transactional. It should be like, yo, what do you need? How can I serve you? How can I build you up? How can I make sure that you are living a valued quality of life? What up? What up? What up?
Ooh, that intro though.
Yo, we growing up in these streets.
Look, they gonna laugh at me. All my people that know me know I don't know how to dance and I don't know how to. But I just that's.
Yo,
bro. Ken did that intro though.
Yo, I'm pretty. Yo, I got to do that one more time. Yo, man, I ain't gonna do this no more. But I'm kind of happy. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of geeked on that.
No.
You a fool, man. You.
They don't like when I dance, bro. They be mad at me when I get out there. They be like, "Ooh."
So can you dance, or is oh, you can't? You can just move your shoulders.
Bro, it's my shoulders. I got that.
Okay.
But everything else, man. I can two-step.
So it's when you bring your legs into it. That's when it's. So that's when it becomes a problem, when you bring your legs into it.
Bro, my mind and my body coordination is off. I can't do how they do, but you get this right here.
So what happened?
Look at Mug. What?
So what happened? Like what happened to where you don't have any type of coordination? Like what happened to you?
So let's do this. I didn't say I ain't had no coordination.
Okay. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it. All right.
It's hard. It's just hard. But that might be a challenge. I'm gonna get a trainer that could teach me how to dance, because this is a dance out there I really want to learn and just take over the world. But instead, I got the beard, so my beard just takes over. I don't even got to do.
Gosh, yo, kick rocks, bro. My beard is coming too.
Bro,
my beard is coming too.
They keep talking about this beard oil. I don't know. People using beard oil. I just be telling people, that ain't how I grow. But
yo, all right. Yo,
so what's up, man?
All right, I'm shifting gears, yo. Yo, listen. Why do they keep on changing the rules, bro?
Oof. Well, to answer that question, we got to talk about who are the people that's changing the rules. Are we talking about systems? Are we talking about particular systems? Who we talking
What
about?
up, Big John?
Okay, John.
So I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Right? So I had the opportunity. I serve on a board in Lansing, on this committee, right? And where I advocate for fathers and families, more so for strong families, right? And so they were talking about how important it is for us to advocate and for us to talk to our local politicians and things of that nature, for us to strengthen families, right? Like we need to petition certain lawmakers and all that. And bro, they started talking about the whole process. And I had to stop them in the middle of it. And so at one time in my life, bro, I would have been intimidated or would have been like, listen, I'm not going to speak up because I don't want to sound dumb. I'm the only black person in this room. They're going to look at me like I'm an idiot, all of that type of stuff.
Right.
But I got to the place where like, yo, I'm okay with who I am. And if I don't know, I don't know. And listening to them of telling us what we need to do to try to level the playing field for families, like in the courts, for men to even be considered of certain things.
Okay.
The thing was, I'm going there, John. I'm going, brother. I'm going, John. I was honest with my man. I would say, listen, I said, I've been advocating for fathers and families for years. And I said, after listening to you, I'm like, yo, I just I don't know if I've been doing a great job.
Mm.
I said, because I don't know the rules. I thought that I was making an impact. And granted, people are being impacted, right? But when we got to the bottom of it, it's like, bro, I didn't know the rules. I didn't know the game. And so the things that I've been doing was honestly was pacifying
Mm.
people's situation. Like I'm giving them an answer for right now I'm just putting a band-aid on their issue versus where we look at the laws that's in place and how do you get them changed. Bro, my man was talking about lobbying, he was talking about all these different processes, and I'm like, if I don't know this and I don't know how to do it, the people I serve, bro, they many of them don't have a fighting chance.
Right.
Like I don't
Right.
even know, like, and I'm gonna just keep it 100. On some place, I didn't even know where to begin to even let my voice heard to say that this is an issue. And so
Mm.
me being educated and me having a seat at some tables, and I still didn't know how to navigate it. I'm like, yo, how do you expect people that are not educated or don't have resources to even advocate for themselves?
But what if I was to tell you that the system is designed for the very purpose in which we see it? So what if I was to say something
So
like,
before you even say that, and let me just tell you guys, when we talk about system, we ain't talking about white and black. This has nothing to do with color.
no,
Right. So I just want you guys to know this is not what we're talking about is families on how the system is making it hard for families to become one and for families to work together. That, they came to a place where they say, you know what? I don't want to be with you anymore. This is not working. But life after that, they shouldn't be able to have a working relationship. And right now, the way the system is not helping those families become stronger. And so I just
well,
wanted to preface that.
no, and I think that's important for our listeners too. But I also think what's important is to define what systems are, because I think that's another thing. We're not just talking about one particular system. We're talking about the whole body of systems. So that's the educational system, that's the juvenile justice system, that's the criminal justice system, that's the child welfare system, that's the which is under the foster care and neglect system. Like we are talking a mental health system. Like we're talking about systems overall. And I think the challenge that I find in working with system serving professionals is the idea around what does it mean to even engage and partner with families who are system involved, right? So I think that's one, but I also think too, we don't do system serving professionals don't do a really good job in terms of really partnering within these systems. So forget about partnering and figuring out how to engage parents. If systems are not communicating and partnering and braiding their funding together and developing strategies from the strategic level to support their own systems in terms of making sure that families go in as they transition through all these systems are collaboratively working together. So we got systems operating in their own silos, doing the same work in a certain zip code and servicing the same families and competing with the same funds and getting the same results. And then I'm gonna use a phrase that a lot of people don't like when I start saying things like poverty pimping, because right, oh no, systems don't poverty pimp. Well, there's money in poverty. And so I think one of the things we have to do in this work too, as I'm a part of the system as well as a recipient of the system. So being able to be a translator in both those spaces can be difficult, and it can also be rewarding. But I had a good friend say something brilliant to me today. One of the things that she said to me is that at some point, when you are being called, Cole Williams, to go and speak to an organization that you are training professionals, and you've done it once, you've done it twice, you've done it 3 times. Now the 4th and 5th time, you notice you still doing the same presentation and the folks are doing the same thing, then you have a problem, because what you are presenting obviously isn't working. And so you need to say, okay, how will I disrupt this? Does this mean I will no longer accept your money and not do this workshop and do this training? Because clearly when you hired me and I received your funding, you saw me as an expert, but you are not utilizing the expertise that I'm providing to you, right? So I think that it boils back down to us saying, hey, this ain't working.
Yeah.
And this is what needs to happen in order to make that happen.
Yeah. You know,
And
so
that we need to train. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking.
no, but that's
I'm
real. That's real. Like, you know, what really started opening my eyes, man, is that, you know, I talked to, I got a new family that I'm working with, right? And both
Right.
of them called me, right? I had to do an intake with both of these families. And I have an intern, right? And
Right.
and I told the intern, I said, listen, you know, I want you to sit in and I want you to listen to these families, right? And, you know, she's a white woman at the University of Michigan. You know, she really want to help the inner city. And I said,
Okay.
you have to look beyond what you hear. If you're
True.
gonna be great at this work, you have to give them space, right? And you have to look beyond what you hear, right? You need to go deep and really hear their heart, because there's a lot of pain and a lot of trauma. And when we got done, I listened to she got a chance to listen to first the father and how he was speaking of what he wasn't getting and how he was feeling neglected and what the mom was doing. And then I talked to the mom and she was sitting there, right? Because the thing about it, it's easy to side with one party. It's easy to side one party because when you get one side of it, right? So she listens, she's like, oh my God, like that is wrong. And how can the mom do that? And I said, hold your thought. I said, now we need to go and listen to what the mom says. Now we put the mom on the phone. The mom painting a total different story. And when we got done, I said, now talk to me. And she said, I'm confused. I said, I'm quite sure. I said, because what happens, man, professionals will allow their emotions and not see people as humans, right? I'm like, listen, you can't get caught up in this story and that story. What is the assignment? What do they both want? Because right now, both of them trying to paint the ugliest picture of the other person to get us to side with them. And I'm like, that is not your role. What is the focus? The focus ought to be the family. The focus ought to be, what does this family need? And can you, as a professional, can you give them what they need? And if you can't, then you need to outsource it to somebody else. And I said, that's the number one thing that you need to learn in this space is, number one, you're not the judge and the jury. You're here to serve. And you need to always ask, what does this family need? And right now, this family are on two different sides of the track. But one of the key things that she recognized that I always do, I say to them, what do you want? And what does success look like once you get done with us? What does success look like to you? And most of the time, bro, what they really want, mom want dad to have access, but one of them want the other person to show some type of remorse or repentance for how they treated them. And because they didn't receive that, they're always responding from that place of pain and wanting to get even and want to demonize the other. And so I'm like, yo, if we can keep them focused on what the main thing is, and what's the main thing? The child. Then what happened to me is not the focal point. And it's hard for professionals, bro, not to have an allegiance to this one or an allegiance to that one. And I said, if you stay with us long enough, we're going to teach you how to remain neutral. It's because we need both sides. And that's the problem I have with some agencies that only serve, moms or only serve dads. You can't really heal the family if you only serve one. Because it's two stories. My man come in, oh, she a B, she did this, she did that, and I allow them to do all they talking and they're complaining and the whole nine. I let them get it off. And then once they get done, I'm like, now what? What you mean? Now what? Maybe she is a B. Now what? Maybe she is an a-hole. Maybe she don't want you to see the child. Now what? But my thing is, why, bruh? Why don't she want you to see the child? What did you break a promise? What did you do? What role did you play in this? We gonna deal with her, but I need to know your role. How do you respond to her? Would you want your child to respond the same way you respond? Oh, no, don't leave now. No, don't leave now. I'll let you call her a B. I don't know how we got here, Cole.
Hey, man, that's that passion. You know that?
I don't know how we got here.
Listen, passion has a way of disrupting, right? And I think disruption is necessary in the work that we do, because I think we have to disrupt these narratives that speak to all of the things that you just so eloquently described, man.
Come on.
Is that I think it's really important that we really start to unpack what's happening to families, but also look at this from a triad perspective too, because I think the professionals that the families are needing support from also need support. And so I think that part of the work that we do so well is that we recognize that it can't just be that we're serving families, right? But we also have to recognize that the professionals that are on the front line serving families too need just as much of support as the families that they interact with and work closely with. Because as you know, you and I are both on both sides of that coin. You were once a family needing services, yep, and now you're a professional providing those services. And yep, I could tell you this, and I just told somebody this. I said, man, working with families can be difficult. I have been cursed out, yelled at, blamed, harassed, threatened, all in the name of support. But on the flip side, I've also worked with an agency and program who was not supportive of the work, did not provide me the proper training, or when I showed up for the training as a professional, I still was struggling with my own stuff.
Come on, man.
I got the folder, I did the training, I laughed, I participated, I wrote on the whiteboard, I gave my information on the Post-it, I passed it around, and I got up at the end of the conference and I went home, or I went back to the office and I went right back into the same routine that I started out with before I entered the conference. And guess what? The information from the conference stayed in that manila folder or blue folder that they put together so eloquently, and I set it on top of my bookshelf and I kept it moving because I had a family I had to serve. Yes. And so I think that part of this is recognizing that, we are all in this having a human experience as humans, and that we have to be conscientious and intentional about making sure we're serving not only the families that we are responsible for, but we're also finding places for our own selves to belong and heal and do this work too, because it is difficult and it's hard. But I think it requires an intentional focus on all of us collectively recognizing what roles we play, what proximity that we have in these spaces, and that we are creating spaces for all of us to be able to do this work. Now, that sounds very cliche, but I think that what I'm seeing in this work is really centered around that. And if we go back to what you keep saying, Sean, over and over again, that everyone should be focused on the main client. And I say client loosely, right? But the truth is, if we're doing this work, we're doing this work for kids. We're doing this work for children. And I think that collectively, we all have a responsibility to doing that. And that is really what
you are so on point.
And so I believe that, systems have to recognize that they are a system, and they have to use their resources to support villages, and that there are villages in our communities where people are running nonprofit organizations that are in the village and the community day in and day out. And we need to be creating and braiding funding to make sure that those folks that are really living and breathing in these communities are receiving the same adequate training and support that professionals get across all these systems, so that they can show up and be on the front lines and give these families what they need as well. So,
Man,
and provide training for families who are also in need of that. So that's another thing I get on my high horse about, is that how dare you train a professional to learn all of this stuff and then don't provide that same level of training for parents,
mm,
so that they can adequately be able to do the very same things that they once relied on you for, but no longer have to rely on you for, because now they are equipped with the tools to
that's
be able.
real, bro. That's
So I
real,
think
bro.
that's where we got to go, bro.
That's
Um,
real.
that,
That's real.
that's having real conversations and not being, and like you just said, recognizing that, it's a lot of language barriers in systems. I
Bro.
don't know the acronyms. I don't know how to adequately sit at the table and speak the language. So there's a lot of language barriers that we also are up against when we're working in these systems and trying to serve families too, Sean.
Man, that's so real. Like, so I mean, just looking at, I'm big on assignment, right? And my assignment to restore families and strengthen families is through this space, right? I look
Yeah,
at my man John, who's on here. He's in real estate. He has an assignment,
absolutely.
right? So although he is receiving money in that transaction, but
Hmm.
that moment he's with that family, right? That family is sharing their heart's desires, right?
Right.
Some of them are coming out of traumatic situations. They coming out all types of stuff. So my thing is in that moment, John, what are you doing to making sure that these people are feeling valued? Right? Because some of them are coming out of traumatic experiences. They're running from this, they're running from that. And and I know John, and I'm glad that he's on here, because I know him as a believer, is that his clients are not just his clients, they become like his family, right? And
Right.
I'm really big on, and I watch how he navigate that when he interact with these families, that they feel like, this is not just a transaction. It's not a transaction. So it's the same way when we serve in these people, it shouldn't be transactional. It shouldn't be transactional. It should be like, what do you need? How can I serve you? How can I build you up? How can I make sure that you are living a valued quality of life? And a lot of times, man, we get caught up in all of this other stuff, man. And that's what frustrates me, because the clients and the people don't become the main thing. It becomes our own selfish ambitions that are the main thing.
Well, I think what makes it very difficult for system serving professionals to be able to sometimes often do what you're describing too is the bureaucracy of it all, right? Because there are dotted lines, there are, you've got to get, in order to work with certain families, they have to have a certain type of insurance. There's a list of like dots, what is it? Dotting, I can't even say the word. Crossing
Crossing
I's and
T,
dotting
no,
T's.
no, no.
Crossing T's.
I don't want you to cross an I. I don't want you to cross an I. I want you to cross a T, and I want you to dot an I.
That's my passion. Because here's the thing though, like, in order to not have a transactional relationship with somebody, you have to build trust. But if what my agency is telling me, man, what my agency is telling me that I have to get through these hoops to make sure that I get this quota for this family and this family and this family, it almost makes it very difficult to be able to do that, right? And I think I've been learning something else too. This idea of really looking at what a stakeholder is and recognizing, when we just talked about John in real estate, John has to know, right? Part of being in the community is that he is a stakeholder, and that professional serving system or systems that are working I can't even get it. I'm struggling right now.
It's all
But
good.
professionals for system serving, right? They also have to recognize too that who is the stakeholder. And paying attention that every person that's in the village is a stakeholder as it relates to what is happening to children in that village. And so we have
Man,
to look at everybody as an
that's
equal participant.
that's so real, Cole. Because I look at a lot of the dudes who I serve. A lot of them are not homeowners, right? And they
Yeah,
don't listen. Now, and when I say that loosely, right? So I'm not
yeah, I'm
saying it
a
as
homeowner.
like, I'm not saying it as like, if you're not a homeowner that you're not this or that, right? But my thing is this, bro, is that a lot of these guys want to own homes. some of them can't even get access to their children because they don't have adequate homes, right?
Yeah.
Because of their environment.
Yeah.
And so they can't get access. And so one of the biggest things, man, like if you give somebody home or they have a place where they can live, man, that does something to them.
Yeah.
Right? Where you can go home and sleep and not have to be concerned or worried that this is mine, that I possess this. It gives you a different type of confidence.
Yeah.
Your children could look at you differently because it's like, yo, this is what we own. This is ours. This is legacy. And that's what I would love to see more of, is more of young single fathers, non-custodial dads, having more ownership. Right. So that way their children can come to their home. And it doesn't have to be $100,000 house or $200,000 house. You mean just their house.
So now, again, we're back at who? We're back at some of these systems who hold and create the policies and procedures that say who can and who can't qualify for certain things, and who should and who doesn't have the child, in terms of who gets the access to food and who gets access to adequate housing underneath the governmental program. I think it shifts back up to like who are those folks, and then again that conversation, is it lobbying, is it sending it, going to legislation to make these policy changes, or is it giving it back to the village and the community and saying, hey, this is what the village and the community is saying as equal stakeholders in the system that many of you are receiving funding to provide services for. Let's listen to the people that are living it and find ways to collectively and creatively do the work. But I mean, that's disruption.
Oh, absolutely is disruption.
That's disruption.
Absolutely is disruption.
People don't like that word. That word is scary.
You have to
people.
listen. You have to disrupt, right? You have to disrupt. If you're gonna make any type of impact, bro, you have to disrupt. You have to disrupt. You have to just be able to disrupt. You have to be able to just say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. You have to be willing to be rejected, right? You have to be willing not to be accepted at the mass level. And I continue to, and I say it loud and I yell it out loud, the whole nine. I go to some of these places, man, like for real, government places where they want my intellectual property and they don't want to pay. And so my thing is, bro, if you really want to make an impact, you will pay somebody like me. And if you don't want to pay me, you trying to tug on my heart because you know I love people and I want to help people and I'll do it for free. But you know what? I refuse to allow you to prostitute my gift and what I paid for it.
100%.
I refuse to do that. And so I can't teach these fathers to stand up for what they believe in. And I'm not doing it on the back end. I'm like, no, I'm not coming to your meeting. I'm not giving you my intellectual property. If you want what I have, you're going to have to pay me. It has to be mutual. And so the same way when I'm telling these fathers, man, is that you have to have a voice.